Hey everybody, I am AR and what I watched today is Book 2, Chapter 11 of Avatar The Last Airbender, The Desert. Naturally, we're starting right off on the heels of the last episode with a flashback scene ending on the revelation that Appa was bison-napped. Aang just freaks right out, blaming Toph, and really doesn't want to listen to what she has to say. It's quite obvious he's lashing out in pain, and I get that. Appa is more than a pet to him. Appa is his last connection to the home and family he lost 100 years ago. Aang just storms right off to save Appa with the others walking on foot. Katara is, at this point saying, we have to get to Ba Sing Se, we have to tell them about the eclipse. But I get the feeling that they're going to end up hooking back up with and trying to help Aang. Because really, they're a little family, they're that close-knit. We switch back over to Zuko and Iroh. And Iroh's just hamming it up, going ooh, ow, ooh, I'm in so much pain in my shoulder. And, so Zuko's just fine, we'll stop and make camp. As soon as they get off the horse, they're attacked by Fire Nation soldiers who are it's the Rough Rhinos from the earlier episode, the Avatar Day episode, which is really cool seeing, these NPCs make a, appearance again. Iroh and Zuko take them out in, this really impressive display of skill and teamwork. Iroh showing again that he still has the moves, and, wow, he's just a great fighter. He made this one really cool move where he deflects, one of the Rough Rhinos is a chain wielder. He deflects the chain so that it wraps around one of their mount's legs, and then slaps that mount on the back, basically making it run off and drag the chain wielder with it, which takes out 2 Rough Rhinos in one move because the guy on the Rhino that's now running away has to get his beast under control. And, eventually they manage to take them all out, or at least neutralize them and get away. And that scene ends on a great line. It's nice to see old friends. Too bad you don't have any old friends who don't want to fight us. That was a great line and some pseudo-foreshadowing for later in the episode from Zuko. We get back to Katara and company. They're trekking through the desert. Sokka getting a funny line in as he stops moving and Toph walks right smack into him. Can't you watch where you're... No. Oh, right, sorry. I like that they keep putting these blind jokes in, that it's really well written and it's well done. Now, they're getting a little desperate for water and Sokka spots a cactus. He cuts it open and, surprisingly true to life, this turns out to be a really bad idea. Now, it's a common misconception that if you're in the desert, you can get water from cactuses to survive. The problem is they are so filled with, I think it's alkaloids, basically the water in them is so acidic that it's not just the spines you have to worry about when trying to consume them. It will literally dry you out worse than just not having it at all would have. In this universe, it just makes them hallucinate really horribly and leads to some of the funniest lines in the episode. One of the first of which is, who lit Toph on fire? Of course, Katara's just kind of rolling her eyes at this and going, come on, we gotta find Aang and so that we can get out of this desert. We switch back to Aang himself, and Aang is desperately trying to find Appa. He's blowing the bison whistle, he's flying his glider, and of course, even from the air, the desert pretty much looks all alike. Just endless monotony and sand, and he's getting really frustrated and sad about and just angrier and angrier. So he lands and strikes the sand, creating this impressive mushroom cloud of sand. Katara and company spot it, but thinking it's danger, Katara decides to start going the other way. Sokka in his drugged up state actually gets the closest to the truth. And with the line, "It's a giant mushroom! Maybe it's friendly! Friendly mushroom, mushy, giant friend!" Oh god, every time Sokka speaks in his little drugged out stupor, it just got me laughing. Holy crap, he is fun in this episode. And now we go right back to the oasis from last episode, except this time, instead of Aang and company arriving, it's the 2 men who are in pursuit of Toph. And at about the same time here, Iroh and Zuko arrive. of course, like, these guys, the wrestling skill from before and the corrupt teacher, they see a wanted poster for those two and go, well, since they're here and we're here, let's try to make a little extra money on the side. And then we go immediately back to our heroes. Aang meets up with the others, and, Aang is just really upset still. Like, you can tell he's still, he's angry, he's sad, he's frustrated. He's doing his best not to snap at everyone again, but he is just... he is in no mood right now, especially with Katara continuing to go, we still have to go to Ba Sing Se. But Katara's, keeping everyone moving, keeping everyone from giving in to the despair they're feeling. And as night falls, she's about to give everyone a drink from her flask again, and Momo jumps right through the water as she's bending it, and we get another great Sokka line. Momo, no! You've killed us all! And then Katara just bends the water out of the sand and puts it back in her flask. He's like, alright, bending. I just love how, they give us such a tense episode, but they also put in drug-tripping Sokka to kind of lighten it up a little. Which, admittedly, you could say that it's undercutting the emotional tension, and maybe we should be allowed to feel all the tension from Aang's view and all that stuff, but honestly, I really appreciate it because it keeps it from getting too bogged down. It keeps the flow going, and it keeps it from getting... sometimes when you watch a show, you get bogged down in the emotion, and you get kind of... It becomes unpleasant to watch the episode. This episode keeps a good balance. You still get the emotional resonance and the emotional, impact of what's going on. But at the same time, you've got Sokka to sort of remind you that not everything is bad, and for the people who aren't as into these more emotionally heavy episodes, it kind of breaks it up so that like I said, the flow keeps going, and we can make it to the end of the episode, and I really like that. I mean, really, I like these more emotionally heavy episodes, but I am very impressed that they remembered to put in these bits and split it up a bit so that it's not all just one big, heavy, bogged down emotional episode. So real props to the writers there. Anyhow, back to the plot. We return to Iroh and Zuko at the bar, and Iroh spots someone that he believes will be able to help them, a guy just waiting at a pie show table. And, the two bounty hunters, the teacher and the Skell, are in the corner sort of watching them, and Iroh, engages the men in an elaborate pie show ritual around the table, and basically, they go, okay, we're definitely friends, we can help each other, and, this really alludes to something that Iroh has been apparently trying to tell Zuko this entire time, but has been sort of keeping up his sleeve, some secret network of connections that we find out a bit more about, but not much as we go through the episodes. Now, the Skell and the teacher are about to close in on Zuko and Iroh and, reveal them to, and, take them in, when the Pai Sho player jumps up and announces loudly to the bar that there is a bounty on the two, multiple gold, etc., starting a bar-wide brawl, and then he helps Zuko and Iroh escape in the confusion. And I love that moment, because, at first Zuko's like, I thought you said he was going to help us. And, Iroh's just like, he is. And he starts the brawl, and it's like, yeah. There are ways out of a situation that can be, it's like, make a distraction. It's like a magician. Look over here while I'm doing the real thing over here. So, again, really love that moment. We return briefly to Aang and Co. Their tempers are running a bit thin as, Katara tries to keep them together and keep them on track. And they find one of the Sandbender's gliders is buried in the sand. Toph literally trips over it. And then we quickly go back again to Iroh and Zuko, Iroh being led into a secret area in the back of a shop where Zuko is not allowed. It's implied that this secret society named after the White Lotus tile that Iroh so loves is a big thing, and it kind of reminds me of that episode in Season 1 where he was obsessed with replacing his seemingly lost White Lotus tile. And it kind of makes me interested, well, just how big is this secret society? Are we going to see it again, or is this just a one-off thing to help Iroh and Zuko move on? they cook up a plot to go like hide in Boston, say as refugees, because there's already so many. Who's going to notice two more? And we're safer to be from the Fire Nation than the Earth Nation capital, right? And like this White Lotus Society is apparently pretty like well connected because they already have transport arranged, fake passports, the lot. They're nearly found by the teacher and the Skell, but they escape in fake bottom pots and are dragged out of town, and that's the last we see of them for the episode. Now in between this, we have a big scene with like Aang and company. They find out that the compass on the sand glider points not north, but to a huge mass of what I'm guessing is magnetic rock in the middle of the desert. They think it might be the Sandbender's base, but they're not sure. Toph is just happy to be silent on solid ground again, and in an awesome moment, she makes a rock angel. Which, I get that that's like an earthbending thing, but it's still fun to see, and it is kind of amazing. It's like Sokka, he's coming down off the cactus juice, so he's not quite as fun in this thing, but he's still hallucinating a little bit. He grabs the first thing he sees, some goop off the cave wall, shoves it in his mouth, and like Katara just goes off at him, and he's like, "What? I have a natural curiosity." I'm like, "No, Sokka, you're just being stupid now. You already had like all that bad stuff happening to you because, you've been hallucinating all day off the cactus juice, and now this?" And now we see some buzzards that they had mentioned earlier, but these are like, apparently the buzzards in this universe are like giant bee buzzard hybrids. They're, again, I love the fauna in this show. And this huge rock is apparently their nest. And yeah, there's a big fight scene. They fight off the buzzards, or at least they try to. And we do see Aang's darker side emerging more in this scene as one grabs Momo, and he's like, I'm not going to lose anyone else. Flies after the thing, and then after freeing Momo, he instead of letting it go as he probably normally would have, he beheads the thing with a well-placed blast of air. And it's like, dang, when Aang goes dark, he goes dark. The group seems to be cornered by the bugs, but the Sandbenders show up at this point and scare them off. And this leads into a really tense confrontation because Toph recognizes the voice of one of them as one of the guys who stole Appa. And, he's protesting, like, "No, we're innocent." He's, like, looking at his chief beside him going, like, "I totally didn't do that." But Aang is just flipping out. Like, he's totally raging. He destroys one of the sand gliders. And, like, he's starting to slip into the Avatar state as the terrified guy goes, like, Okay. We did steal him, but I've already sold him to a trader that's heading for Ba Sing Se, I swear." And, like, kind of goes, like, "We'll do anything to help you. I'm sorry, I didn't know I was stealing from the Avatar. Just, like, now that he's in genuine danger, the guy's just, like, going, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'll make it up to you, I promise, blah, blah, blah." And, like, Sokka is terrified, of course, because he's seen what the Avatar state has done before. He's trying to get everyone clear of the blast radius, basically, but Katara, in a really awesome display of both courage and compassion, just stays there. She doesn't move, she doesn't run, she just slowly walks up to Aang, takes his arm, and pulls him close into a hug. Calms him right down as he finally lets his tears flow. Lets all the anger and rage he's been holding in and expressing over Appa turn into the fear and sadness that they really are. And he cries into Katara's shoulder, and it's a really powerful moment that they end the episode on. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna get Appa back eventually, but still, it was really like, it's kind of interesting to see Aang filled with this much despair when usually he's so hopeful. And I'm really looking forward to what they do next with it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.